Attackers opened fire on protesters. 17 dead. I hate that I have a thing in my eye still. A man opened fire on Vesord City Center during a protest march organized by the Communist Party of Swordland. Against the murder of Bernard Circus, the attackers used a military-grade machine gun dated 1929, which is suspected to be part of the inventory of the Swedish Armed Forces. The attacker killed himself right after shooting at 25 people, killing 16. That's a lot. He took out the weapon from the newsstand at the square, brandished it, and yelled, "Come, I will give you freedom." One witness said the highly charged word freedom was previously associated with Bluish separatists, but has been used widely during the previous months of protests against the murder of Bernard Circus. Minister of the Interior, Lilius Graf, said that she had spoken to the chief of Vesard Police and asked him to take strict action. The government will not tolerate any such incident, and the perpetrators will not be spared, she said. Gelsard FC and Anrica FC derby postponed due to protests. Oh, damn. I want to know about football. One of the most anticipated matches between Gelsard and Anrica was postponed because of the intense protests in the city of Anrica. The league has issued the following statement regarding the situation. Due to safety reasons, the players are compromised during this time of trouble. We have decided to postpone the game. Moreover, we stand in solidarity with the fans, our players, and the people of Anrica in the fight against injustice. Mayor Curtin Lest has also made a statement. It is a tragic day of Swordland where the president himself refused to act in the face of communism. It is said that inaction breeds doubt and fear. Thus, I fear that the spread of communism has sown deeper inside the heart of the nation than we thought. However, I and the people of Anrica will never stop fighting for the soul of our great country. Man, stop hating on me for not, banishing all commies, alright? Jeez. Undemocratic elections of Swordland. What? Swordland has an electoral threshold of 10%. This means any political parties that are under 10% of the vote can't even enter the assembly. This is the very reason why the United Swordland Party holds 52% of the seats in the assembly today. It is also the reason why the largest ethnic minority of Swordland is non-existent in Swedish politics. Last elections have shown that the pro-Bluish WPB had an enormous voter base of just above 9%, but it still failed to meet the 10% threshold and couldn't enter politics. Similarly, the CEPS has won around 8% of the general vote, but was eliminated. This means that millions of votes are not represented in our current government. Moreover, this has benefited the USP the most and gave them the lawmaking power. The undemocratic threshold needs to be lowered down so that there is true representation in the assembly, and a true representation of our voices. No one can call Swordland a democracy without a decrease, or a constitutional proposal that does not include such change. What? Okay, wait, hold on. Without a decrease or a constitutional proposal that does not include such change democratic. Oh, okay. I see. Now I get it. Oh, it's a thing. Oh, whoops. I didn't realize this was a thing yet. I thought this was just another report. I was traveling to the snow-covered city of Narbel in the Nargis region for the Rural Development Forum organized by the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education. The mountainous city of Narbel had gritty tones to it. It's mostly regarded as one of the poorest cities in Swordland. Its people were hardy and wary. Even after the discovery of natural resources in the area, years of neglect by the central government were apparent on the buildings and the general infrastructure. Natural resources, namely gas and oil, were now under the control of Gotham, which elevated the corporation to a place of power. My task in this forum was mainly symbolic: fake smiles and handshakes with oil barons, meeting with local politicians, but most importantly of all, to make sure that Narbel does not feel like it was forgotten by the government. Scenery so far, however, was a reflection of Narbel's neglect. Main roads to the city were not maintained well. There were many bumps and empty discolored spots in the asphalt. Navigating and swerving to avoid the inconsistencies, our motorcade finally started nearing the city. As if my discomfort from the bumpy ride was apparent to him, Serge rolled down the partition window. "We'll be arriving at Hotel West in a few minutes, sir." Thank you for letting me know. Anytime. It is my duty. After a moment, Serge started to smile under his mustache. What's that smile for? Sir, I just want to say, it has been great these last 2 months. It's been only 2 months? Holy shit. As you know, my wife Susan recently gave birth to our son, sir. And now my daughter just started at a very good high school in Holsword. That's great news, Serge. I'm happy for you. I appreciate it, sir. Truly, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to afford a good private school if she scored less than the entrance exams. But I shouldn't have made my insecurities get to me. Erica outsmarts me all the time. I'm very proud to have a daughter like her. This would be a good joke, but I don't know if he'll take it that way. I also hope that Deanna will grow to be like her mother someday. That's true. Like, Monica seems like a very strong woman. I'm sure she will, sir. After all, she's the daughter of a lion and a lioness. My daughter looks up to the First Lady for inspiration, and it's not just limited to my daughter, sir. She is an inspiration for almost all women in the country. But at the same time, it must be hard for the First Lady as well. All this attention, adjusting to this new high-profile life, and a husband that has great responsibility. You're right. It is hard for her. It must be, sir. We sometimes forget the important people in life between all the responsibility and rush. You know, those we care for. I agree. Serge continued after a moment of silence. Have I told you, sir? We named my son George. The doctor said he's very healthy, and thankfully so is my wife. What do we want to ask Serge about? It's like, why do you have another child? Maybe just wanted one. Yeah, tell me more about Susan. What kind of person is she? She has a good heart. Her family comes from Sarna, so they are a little more traditional. I really like her selflessness. I don't really want to just make it about Monica all of a sudden. Honestly, these all are pretty good. I don't think there's any negative here. Here, let me do a skim of Sarna. Region of Bergia. Oh, we've read about Sarna before, I think. Selflessness is a respectable trait to have. I do believe that. It should be mutual. That is what matters most. Serge sighed. I already started thinking about their university education, especially Erica. I want to send her to a good private school, but with the current state of the economy, it's going to be hard for us. We will fix the economy, one way or another. If anyone can, that's you, Mr. President. I like Serge. I really do. Honestly, every time I see his face on the sidebar, I get happy, because I'm like, man, this is a guy who will respect me and who I can respect in return. The car hit a major pothole and a bump which lifted us up in our seats for a second. Oh. See, I can ask if he's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna ask if he's fine. Are you fine? Yes, sir. I hope the car is fine, too. The motorcade began approaching the hotel. The Hotel West was supposedly the best hotel in Narbel. The large 25-story main building was undoubtedly one of the taller and more expensive buildings in the city. It towered over the nearby slums and had been a target for protests when it was first built. A crowd was gathered in front of the hotel with the welcoming committee at its center. As we approached, the red carpeted entrance Oh, as we approached the red carpeted entrance, I could see the mayor of Narbel and his top aides. Serge got out of the car and opened the door. He bowed his head respectfully and gestured towards the entrance. Thank you. Have a good day, Mr. President. As soon as I left the vehicle, the fresh air of Narbel filled my lungs. Almost immediately, everyone present in the crowd flocked over to me with an excessive display of courtesy. Smiles and handshakes while I donned the mask of a politician. A mask that I was very used to. Okay, so not really a lot going on, just, a thing to get us in the mode. Like the mood for what's probably going to happen next. Prisoners riot in Antil Iraq prison. Yesterday around 11 a.m., a prison riot started in Ward C of the Antil Iraq prison, which was eventually suppressed. Ward C is generally used for keeping political prisoners, and the riot started when a warden was killed by a brutish political prisoner. 4 guards and 21 prisoners died, 134 were injured. That's a big, big riot. Morna industrial output concerns. The mayor of Morna has reported that their industrial output numbers this year are 12% lower than last year. They are requesting additional support to improve their industrial capacity, including machinery and personnel, to combat the downwards trend. With the construction of several new factories in Morna, the mayor stated his belief that an economic upturn in the city is still possible if government investments succeed. According to current projections, Morna is set to lose an additional 2% of industrial output next year. However, recent data from the municipality suggests that an investment worth several billions of SR will stop the downward trend and increase the industrial output in a short amount of time. Ooh. Okay, so we might need to invest money here. Yeah, I mean, maybe. Like, 12% is a lot. Like, that is kind of a problem. Young swords suspected of terror attack. See, it's always the young swords and the red... What they call themselves? The red... What is it? It's the young swords and the red... Fuck, what is it? The red youth? Yeah, the red youth, I think. Yeah, young swords and red youth. At approximately 1646 on Monday, a terror attack occurred in the Vesord city center during a rally by the left-wing CPS. The attackers, suspected to be working with Young Swords or another organization connected to them, opened fire with an automatic rifle on the protesting civilians. 17 people were killed, including the attacker who shot himself afterwards. Witnesses testified that the rifle was hidden behind a newsstand. Okay. Our local police are now wary of this tactic, and all newsstands will be inspected by the police before and during crowded rallies. I was going to say this happened in another place. Further investigations on Young Swords are underway. Yeah, not super great. Not super great. PFJP report on reforms. Franz Richter, leader of PFJP, recently outlined their demands for the reform package. He declared that without the implementation of term limits and limited decrees, it would be very difficult for him and his party to stand behind the reform package. I mean, I believe that's all stuff I can get behind as well, so I don't think there'll be a problem there. USP report on reforms. Many members of the USP, led by Albin Clavin and the reformist wing of the party, clarified their demands from the government and the party Congress. For the upcoming constitutional reform, Albin Clavin stated that without ministry reforms, they won't be able to stand behind their new reform package. Okay, so ministry reforms and what was it? Term limits and what was the other one? Term limits and Fuck, how come the word's not coming to me? It was term limits and, is it the veto power thing? I don't remember. They said something specific. I don't know. Not gonna lie. Might have to end the stream early because I don't know what it is. I guess maybe the sleep last night is getting to me a little bit more than I anticipated. Because now I'm starting to feel a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit like not as like mentally like energetic, I guess. Like I feel like my mental capacity has gone down a smidgen. Protests appear calmer. So we'll probably do this, and then I might consider ending early, just because, yeah, you know, I don't think it's good to be playing a game like this when feeling a bit more tired mentally, and I don't think it's good for the stream either. And now I have something in my eye still, and plus this thing in my eye is starting to get to me. I might need to go wash it out. As protests continue nationwide, tension eases in some cities. Still, several major cities, including Dare and Lockhaven, did have some scattered reports of violence on Monday night. Tens of thousands in Dare, Circus' hometown, walked in a memorial march, though police moved in on the thinning crowd as the evening settled, making arrests. No, okay. Authorities said demonstrators began throwing rocks and ignored orders to disperse. The protests in Holsword and in most other major cities appeared calmer, with fewer clashes between civilians and police. Authorities have made at least 9,800 arrests related to the protests, according to a tally from the state press. All right, and we have 3 from the Radical. Shocking misogynist rally. Every day we are appalled by how deep the roots of misogyny goes in our country. We are appalled yet again when yesterday, during a protest by the Swedish League of Women, counter-protesters showed up to disrupt the peaceful rally. In the resulting scuffle between the police, the protesters, and the mob, many were arrested from both sides. The road to change is filled with real obstacles. But we said it before, we can do it. That we can. Soul needs to answer for his crimes. Looking at the history of everything wrong in our country, there's only one figure that everyone points at. Tarkeen Soul. Hey, Best Backwards, welcome back. How's it going? It's going pretty good, thanks. Had a good talk with my in-game son, Frank. And yeah, overall pretty good. I am starting to feel a little bit mentally tired. Probably just because of my sleep last night. So I'm considering maybe ending the stream early. I don't think that'd be much of a problem though, because I do think I'll be streaming on the weekend at some point. So we shall see. We'll see how I'm feeling after the next bit. And then if I'm feeling like I'm getting a little bit more energetic, I guess, then I'll continue. If I'm feeling still a little bit, you know, feeling kind of tired, not really processing information all that well, then I'll probably call it a little bit early. That should still get us close regardless. I just feel bad because it started today late. But, you know, sometimes it happens, right? Sometimes you have a day where you need to call a little bit early. It has devolved our country into something much worse than what it was before. And now I'm feeling a bit itchy in my hair, too. Maybe I need to also wash my hair. Man, what is wrong with me now? Now I'm falling apart. I will say, last time I washed my hair, I didn't do it with my anti-dandruff shampoo, which I probably should have. He has devolved our country into something much worse than what it was before. He has committed crimes against humanity. We all still remember the Islam incident, and the wounds that have been inflicted on the hundreds of thousands of people with British ethnic background. We have been calling for his trial, and we believe it is time that this government opens the way for a fair trial by removing the undemocratic and absurd laws that protect him. It is time that the Constitution of 1929 that protects Seoul be changed. People are still waiting for a fair trial, for justice to be served, and for their questions to be answered. If we can get enough people on our side, then I might consider adding that to the bill, but I don't really know. Oh, why is this thing in my eye like causing so much issue today? A large group of labor union members gathered around the city of Velgen to protest against the poor condition of workers' rights in Swordland. People could be seen holding signs, pleading for accountability and basic rights in corporate work environments. Dozens of tourist workers are in the midst of the crowd. One worker is heard saying, "I know the law gives us nothing on paper. Is this a reality we choose to accept?" Others pointed out that the country is relying on the workers to stop their recession, but doesn't give them anything back. Look at how great the rates are in Volksland. Minimum wage, overtime pay, and safe working regulations. The time for real workers' reforms is now, one voice demanded with frustration. We had the opportunity to interview some open-minded managers from corporations. They relayed that the companies have little to no insight. Oh, by the way, Bass Backwards, how is cooking going? How has your cooking been? The teriyaki meatball sounds so good, dude, honestly. I could go for some of those. It's hard to disagree that the time for labor reform is long due. Albin Clavin from the reformist wing of the USP has seen the potential and announced that work has begun to explore what can be achieved. Will President Rain listen to the demands? Time will tell. Education privatization proven successful. Wow, this is a long one. Holy shit. All right. Honestly, I might even get to like the usual stop time just by going through this stuff. Our editorial team immediately analyzed the SIPA report recently revealed to assess the standards of education. Now I have something to say. What the hell is going on with me? We're curious to see how the policies of the last decade have begun changing the performance metrics. Lesbia specifically stood out with a jump of 6 positions forward to 5th out of 68. After a research and analysis collaboration with the vice president of Magnus Caritas and the SMEA chapter leader of OMEC. We gained critical insights to how Lesbia increased its education quality. It boils down to 2 major points. One is the privatization efforts led by Prime Minister Alvarez that led to most schools in wealthier neighborhoods. 1,404 to be precise, to be privatized. This lifted a significant budget burden off the state because the wealthy paid for a great education for their kids and were still taxed reasonably in order to divert funds to state schools elsewhere. The second major factor was the allowance of minor curricular changes for private institutions that led to major improvements in the student participation, teacher happiness, and boosted the performance of the institutions. All in all, the improvements to the system and the massive amounts of 34 billion lira it raised for Lesbia made it a lucrative option. Sordland desperately needs more capital to tackle the recession, and when education is privatized, foreign capital will also aid in establishing quality schools. Yeah, I agree. The vice president of Magnus Caritas pointed out that the SIPA report doesn't include access to education metrics and that Lesbia has inequality problems. It does, but I don't know, this might be a way to do it. We do need to get better education. And you know, private schools can maybe help with that. It can at the very least lift the tax burden and or the budget burden maybe, so we can fund other schools a little bit better. The statement that hasn't been proven with any statistical research from the OMEC, which is why it must be taken with a pinch of salt. The Rand administration could be practical about this term and look to the solution example, or the Southern example, on how to do positive change, even though opposition from the Minister of Education is expected. So I'm probably gonna have to deal with that too, which, yeah, you know, it's gonna happen, right? And I think it's a good idea, right? Well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know that much about private schools, but I guess I could be wrong. I arrived at the meeting room for my talk with Ciara and Pascal. Before beginning, I took a moment to appreciate the view from the balcony. The mountains of Narbel were completely covered with snow. While I was mesmerized by the scenery, Pascal Benawal, so he is... I'm pretty sure I've read of him before. Yes. Yes? I mean, there's not much here, so I may as well, right? So Pascal Benawal is an author and Swedish government official who serves as the Minister of Health, Social Affairs, and Labor. He's a member of the United Sordland Party since 1942. His government career began in 1949 when Ewald Alfonso appointed him to the Sordland Civil Service Commission. He also served as president of the University of Velgen and Gelsword School of Medicine. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read this. I don't know. Before his political career, Pascal wrote 8 books, one of which is a bestseller called The Unfortunate Man, where he tells the story of a family of poverty-stricken miners. He became known as a writer who depicts the struggles of Swedish life from the realistic frame, which brought him praise from the middle class and the civil rights groups. He was elected to the Assembly in 1945 and advocated for new workplace safety regulations and a workers' compensation program. He was an important force in the shaping of the nation's first social security policies. Initially a supporter of Waldo Afonso's programs, Pascal eventually turned against the free market reforms and the president's management of them, stated that it drained badly needed resources away from welfare programs. He gave his support to Anton Rein in 1953 and was appointed as a minister after the elections. Alright, so he might oppose me a little bit. My Minister of Health was ironically somewhat portly, having gained a few pounds since his breakthrough as a best-selling writer. But his authority on social affairs could not be questioned. Such a spectacular view. Sarah Walda, the Minister of Education, joined us on the balcony. Dressed in a sky blue pantsuit, her preference for trousers over dresses had made her the subject of much palace gossip, but it didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. I want to do reading on you. So Sierra Walda is an what? I know it's supposed to be like academician? I've never heard that term before. I think I know what it means, but I've never heard that term before. And politician who serves as the Minister of Education, Technology, and Research of Swordland. She became a member of the United Swordland Party before the 1953 elections. Prior to becoming a minister, she was elected and served as an independent MP. As a member of the Assembly, Sierra has been aggressively promoting educational reforms and supported socialist politics. Although she's been targeted many times for her ideals, she remains to be a popular politician, particularly among women. She's a staunch supporter of women's rights and slowly gaining fame among the reformists for her progressive rhetoric. Before her political career, Sierra taught philosophy and political sciences in several major universities, including the Lockhaven Business School and Dare University of Culture. She has written many academic articles, some of which were published in well-respected journals worldwide. Sarah joined United Swordland to campaign for Anton Rein's candidacy in an effort to reform the governing body of the party. She was appointed as a minister after the elections. Alright, so she seems pretty chill. Spectacular indeed. But if you look at the opposite direction, you will see what Seoul's decades of neglect did to the city. Most of the people living in Narbel are workers, farmers, and their wives and children. They're breaking their backs for close to no pay. All thanks to greedy corporations. Whatever, I'd much rather be in Whole Sword right now. No, Anton, no. My intention is to help the working class. Anton would definitely say that, at least my Anton would. I mean, hell, I gave him the farmer's hat, right? Oh, you can't actually, I just realized you can't actually even see my cursor. Not like it matters, but you know, still. I don't think it matters too much. But yeah, I even gave him like the farmer's hat, right? My intention is to help the working class. I am glad we see eye to eye on the issue. If you look past the view, you can see the real problems. Real problems like poverty. Pascal nodded gravely. This was a subject he knew quite a bit about himself. His best-known books were about the plight of Swordland's less fortunate, drawing from his own past growing up in squalor. Well put, Miss Walda. I don't need to tell you about my own experiences with poverty, and you've been through similar hardships yourself, Mr. President. It feels like the cards are stacked against you. Exactly. It feels as if there is no way out. You don't have to have been born poor to sympathize with the plight of the impoverished, much as you don't have to have been born a woman to recognize Swordland's need for parity among the sexes. Parity among the sexes shouldn't be our first priority. Look at how many high-ranking female politicians our country has. Appearances can be deceiving, Pascal. Her voice sounded bitter. Think about how Lilius Graf got to her current position. I don't necessarily believe the rumors about her and Sol, but she never could have risen so high if she didn't parrot his cause. Gloria Tori, is it an accident that the first female assembly speaker is such a staunch conservative? And then there was Alfonso's habit of promoting women to prominent positions to give Swordland a progressive sheen while accomplishing nothing in reality. While women in places like Narbel are denied any opportunity to advance, the government can use a handful of female politicians from wealthy families, myself included, to pretend their only obstacle to success is their own lack of initiative. Meanwhile, those of us who don't use our clout to help powerful men stay in power are denigrated as angry spinsters. I ask you, Mr. President, does anyone care that your strategist, Mr. Gallade, doesn't have a wife? I mean, I do agree. They've clearly made a point that, you know, and isn't Anton's wife like also into women's rights? Isn't she part of it? Oh, I guess I can't look up Anton Rain. Her name's Monica. There you go, Monica. Yeah, campaign assistant of the Women's League before her marriage to Anton Rain. So she would be very prominent, and she'd probably like this too. And I feel like if my Anton married her, then clearly he must believe the same, right? I agree with you completely. Swordland's women deserve better. I'm glad to hear that. As I was saying, isn't it about time Holsword addressed this country's real issues? Rather than bowing to the wishes of the hawks and fearmongers in the establishment? And diverting yet more resources to the military and law enforcement? Our welfare, healthcare, and education systems have been decaying since the recession. Swordland's poorer communities are losing hope. Hopelessness and a lack of opportunities can drive people to extreme solutions. We're seeing increased crime, domestic violence, and yes, rising inequality between men and women. Engage it holistically. I want to make sure I am understanding what the word holistically means just before I go making any mistakes. Holistic. Characterized by comprehension of the parts of something as intimately interconnected and explicable only by reference to the whole. So take on the whole, basically. Oh, that makes sense. Holistically, right? Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And see, I feel like it's just kind of like hand waving it away to say, oh yeah, Lilius Graf will take care of the crime. But there's more issues here than just crime, I think. Those issues must be tackled from different directions. We need to engage it holistically. I'm planning to help by using an increased budget to improve the quality of healthcare. That could prove useful, but we need to be doing a lot more education. Education has similar issues. There's another subject I want to mention. I have been working on improving the rights of workers in our country, and have proposed a draft bill that is currently being reviewed by our party. Mr. Clavin has already backed me and given his support. Swordland has fallen behind most countries on the subject, and it is my responsibility to ensure this is not the case. We do need to improve the standards for our workers. All of these are issues that are like really good and need to be tackled. It's either one or two. I agree. We need to improve the standards for our workers. I do agree. Exactly. Swordland must provide for its own people to move forward. It also is a matter of life and death. Every decade, we hear of some horrific accident due to employers' disregard for their workers' safety. So would you back the bill when it arrives on your desk, Mr. President? I mean, yeah, I'd do it if it didn't cost me more budget. Yeah, I mean, I would be very interested in supporting it once it's finished, yeah. I'm relieved to hear this. He smiled. It's getting a little cold out here. Let's head inside and continue our discussions. We headed back inside. The meeting room was already prepared for state business. Small gifts for each of us had been placed on the table by the municipality. We took our seats. Tell me more about your plans, Ciara. With pleasure. Swordish education is free, but we have a very outdated system that I want to reform. The other important issue is the lack of access to education in rural areas, especially for young girls. Your administration has the power to solve both problems. My highest priority is to get enough funding to be able to build schools in rural areas, while I cleanse our educational system of its nationalistic indoctrination and sexist teachings. That is actually true. That would help a lot. What is the literacy rate of Swordland? That's good. The literacy rate of Swordland is at 80%. This is a very good indicator for future growth, but it needs to be increased. It's also far lower among girls than boys. If I remember correctly, the most illiterate areas are Bergia and England. You know what? I mean, I've been helping prop up those areas, so I mean, sure, that sounds like it'd be good for me. That is correct, although Lockhaven skews the statistics for the Nargis region, which also has a vast number of illiterate citizens. This underlines my point about the lack of access to education. Tell me about the differences between urban and rural education. Urban areas have 3 times the number of schools per 10,000 people compared to rural areas. Rural areas also suffer from a lack of teachers. I can imagine teachers not preferring desolate areas. Does that sound mean? That is not a very good ratio. The situation is worse than expected. This is one of the most important problems we face, if not the most important. A huge part of the population is forgotten in terms of welfare. How many students and teachers do we have? Currently, there are about 5 million students, 3 million in primary education, 1 million in secondary, and 1 million in tertiary. There are 155,316 teachers. Excuse me. Man, I hate this. I think Megan is right. I think I'm taking in like a lot of air when I speak, and it's coming out as like more burpy than what it should be. So once again, I apologize, friends. Swordland is full of young and bright minds. I see what we're getting at. Because we could make it not free for everybody necessarily if we went with private schools. Now I kind of see the issue here. It is indeed full of potential. I don't want to do this in case it locks me into just keeping education free. I think there needs to be a change in the way of thought. We should help children to question and educate themselves. Thank you, Sierra. I can fill in the blanks from here. I want to hear about the healthcare system. As you wish, Mr. President. Switzerland has a free healthcare system, except for a few private hospitals operating under it. Most of the populace receives adequate treatment. Health issues primarily appear in rural areas due to a lack of quality services. I am doing my best to ensure that citizens of all ages receive the best healthcare they can. I also personally want to solve the high infant and maternal mortality problem. How many hospital beds are there per 10,000 citizens? There are 10 beds per 10,000 citizens, which is a very good number according to our comparisons with other neighbors. We see a lower number in the countries of Agnolia and Welland, but obviously can't match Lesbia or Volksland. Yeah. Agnolia and Welland are hardly countries to take as a standard, but it is good to know we aren't in a huge health crisis yet. How many doctors and nurses are employed? We have 31,594 doctors and 73,680 nurses working for the Ministry of Health. This is a high number. What I think is, I don't want to be rude, but out of those numbers, how many are in urban and rural areas? Good point, Sierra. Pascal? The data shows that per 10,000 people in urban areas, there are about 11 doctors, while in rural areas, there are only 3. Treatment time is still too high due to the low number of doctors in rural areas, which get barely any proper coverage. What's the life expectancy and mortality rates? Our life expectancy is 65 years. Ooh, that's not that high. And the infant mortality rate is a worrying 85 per 1,000 babies, while our maternal mortality is at 90 per 1,000. Man. Be assured that we are doing everything we can to save mothers and their newborn. Those numbers are saddening indeed. Yeah, for real, those numbers are saddening. I agree. We must do everything we can. Yeah, that's really bad. We are working very hard on improving the quality of services. Thank you, Pascal. Your in-depth briefing is much appreciated. I believe that is everything. Sierra stood up and moved towards the window. She took a deep breath. What is it, Sierra? Look at this impoverished city. The streets full of potholes, the hospital barely functioning, the school half open. This is not just about Sol or even Alfonso failing. This decay in Sordland's forgotten regions has been going on for many decades due to structural corruption, which is fueled by capitalism. So she is against capitalism. Pascal, what do you think? Sir, there's not much to be said. I agree with Sierra, but it is also Gus Manger's job to improve these areas. It's the responsibility of each and every one of us. Sierra sat back down and sighed. One way or another, we need to transform. Greed and unchecked capitalism will not magically provide for the people. Tell me more about your plans, Sierra. My plans require an increase in the government budget. I aim to solve the problems we highlighted with the allocated money. By building schools in these less fortunate rural areas, and through fundamental changes to the education system, I will unlock the potential of all of our children, boys and girls alike. Our election mandate was to improve education. We will deliver on this. This brings hope to the table, which needs to be followed by action. There's much to be done, and if we are given the budget, there will be opportunities to implement policies that push education to the next level. Wouldn't a promotion of private education help create additional funds? See, this is where we gotta make that choice, right? We gotta make that choice here. Yes, but at what cost? I'm not a supporter of the private sector in education, because at the end of the day, they're focused on profits first. Yeah, I'm gonna Google. I'm just kind of curious what the general, because I think private schools are an okay thing, right? They're all over the place. So I'm curious, are private schools good? Yeah, I don't know. According to this one website, anyway, private schools are pretty solid. So I don't know. I've never known anyone from a private school, but I mean, they can't be bad if they're all over the U.S. and Canada and stuff, right? I doubt it. And there are private schools all over the world. What are you working towards, Pascal? I personally want to improve the low quality of healthcare in rural areas. So I created draft plans to increase the salary of doctors and upgrade the equipment of the hospitals. I can do more with an increased budget. Additionally, a privatization plan to promote private investments in the healthcare system could allocate extra funds. Privatization's like, I mean, it's not good though. A lot of bad can happen with that. Isn't access to healthcare in rural areas an issue? Access is an issue, but not as critical as the quality in these areas. The lack of experienced personnel or equipment causes bad treatment, resulting in many deaths. I do hope to create competition and increase the quality of healthcare with the privatization effort. A private healthcare system would increase the price of treatment and make access worse for the average citizen. The decision not to promote more state control would cost the people dearly. My expectation from our government is that we understand and focus on the needs of the people. I think I'm going to private schools, but I'll probably give the health my final budget, which I'm kind of scared to do. I'm not gonna lie. We are elected representatives of our people, and we'll prioritize their needs. That's reassuring to hear. I don't want to sound cynical, but almost all governments keep making the same promises. We must show we are different through our actions. I think we covered all the necessary subjects. Thank you for your time. I do hope we won't repeat the same mistakes again and again. Have a good day, Mr. President. The ministers left, and I attended other official business in the city. The weather was relatively cold, but it didn't keep a group of USP supporters from coming out to cheer at us on the streets. Just by looking at the citizens' attire, it was easy to understand the current state of Narbel. Some people were wearing clothes a few sizes too large. Some kids did not even have shoes. Yet, there was hope in their eyes. They were excited to see their president in their city. Ooh. Boy, oh boy. We're gonna need to make some decisions. So unfortunately, it is actually past the time when I would normally stop. I got pretty into it, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna leave this note for me for later. So private schools over private healthcare. Like, see, the thing is if I make like private schools, I hope it's like make private schools, right? Don't make all schools private, but make some private schools and keep other ones free for the people. That way we can allocate budget that would be going towards those now private schools and put those towards the other schools. I think that is what we do. But we don't do private healthcare, right? So I'm Canadian, right? As I'm sure a lot of you guys know. And I don't really vibe with, you know, private healthcare stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I've kind of seen what it does in the US, and I'm not really too keen on that. I will be honest with you. I kind of like my healthcare system. So, you know, so I'm a little bit biased, I will admit. So I think this is a pretty good place to leave it at. So next time we start, which probably won't be until, I don't know when, probably Thursday. It depends on what we do for Bass Ackwood's birthday. So probably won't get back to this until about Thursday at the latest. Or at the earliest, I should say. So I have a decent bit of reading to do. But also, you know, we have a bit of an idea, right? We're going to be going over private schools and healthcare. And I think I know what I'm going to go with this, but we're going to need to hear everything on the budget because I don't really want to lose my last budget, right? Losing my last government budget seems bad. Especially since I don't know, like, where we're going in the future. Excuse me. All right, though. I think that should be it for the moment. It's been a very, very fun stream. I've enjoyed myself a lot today. I've enjoyed myself a lot today. Despite my sleepy, kind of tired brain, we got a good amount done. I had fun. Hopefully you all did too. All right. So, I guess that should be it for now. I'm going to go have some delicious food, probably chill for the rest of the day, and hopefully get a good sleep tonight, a good long sleep. I'll probably take some melatonin just to help out with that. For now, though, I guess that's it. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I shall catch you guys possibly on the weekend. I need to talk with Megan about that. But if not on the weekend, definitely Wednesday. All right. For now, though, it's time to cue the outro. Best secrets of sweet dreams, then. Thank you very much, my dude. Don't worry, I won't be sleeping straight away, but I'll probably get an early sleep tonight. So I appreciate it. And hopefully you and everybody else watching has sweet dreams yourselves. All right. For now, though, it's time to cue the outro. Night. Frag out. I'll catch you guys later.